Welcome to the podcast, From One Mother of an Addict to Another. This is a space of sharing heartfelt personal experiences, insightful thoughts, and powerful suggestions, which can hopefully assist and offer strength navigating your journey alongside a loved one facing addiction and mental illness.
Hi, welcome to the podcast episode, 5 mistakes we make as parents of addicted teens. And yep, I made them. My hands raised and I'm ready to admit it. Hi, it's Nina, and today we're going to talk about something that isn't easy to admit, the mistakes we've made when we're trying to save our kids. I've made all of these, more than once, and if you have too, you're not alone. You're not a bad parent, you're just a parent like me who loves our damn kids, and you'll do anything, just like I would. Even the wrong things. And my hand's still raised because for sure I did some wrong things. The first one is thinking you can fix it. I've spoken about this before, but we become the doctors, the therapists, detectives. Oh my God, was I a detective? Trying to fix what we couldn't understand. I didn't even know where to begin. I thought I was doing the right thing. I would find out the right rehab, did I love him hard enough? He'll snap out of this. That's how addiction and mental illness works. And I realized that it almost broke me because I couldn't fix anything. But I kept thinking, I could do this. He'll snap out of it. No, they're making such a big deal out of this. Come on, everybody smokes pot, drinks with their friends, and all right, what kid doesn't want to go to school all the time? And even though they're a genius, they still, no way, not my kid. Well, believe it or not, you and I are around the same, and we can't fix it. So that's the biggest mistake that we make, and that's why it's number one in my book. The second one I wrote down was believing that they're promises instead of watching their patterns. Oh my God, he would say to me, I swear, Mom, I can still hear it. And I wanted to believe it so badly. But we have to stop listening to those words and start watching the actions. I love that statement. Start watching the actions. I learned that the hard way over and over and over again. You're not alone. I've done this. You are alone, but you're not alone at doing it. And that's what I want to say. These patterns of our behavior definitely affect the addict and your teen and how they're going to respond to you. But it's sad because what affects us the most is that we love them so much we want to believe them. And then it's it gets so bad because you're betrayed. You take it as if it's I took it as if it's against me. Why is he being like this? Why against me? I didn't watch his patterns because I didn't believe there were patterns. I didn't believe that it was as serious as it was. And I guess that changed pretty fast. And when those things change, what do you think happens? The addict catches on. And they don't want to be with anybody that catches on. They don't want to be with anybody that calls them out on anything. So, we're believing their promises. Oh, I'm sorry. I promise I'm not going to do that again. I promise I'm going to do better. I promise I'm not going to smoke. I promise I'm not going to hang out with that kid. I promise I'm going to go for help. All those things, and over and over and over again. It's like a record playing. And it never really came to fruition. The third mistake I made was letting the guilt guide me. That was a big mistake. We all do it, but I wish I could have said no because I felt bad. I felt bad to say no. I didn't want him to be without. I struggled and gave everything to my kids. I wouldn't change that. I wanted them to have everything. I wanted them to have an easy life. I wanted it to be easy for them to achieve what they wanted to achieve. But by doing that, it didn't really make me feel better or give me less guilt because no matter what I did, it wasn't working. And the guilt of how bad it was getting made me feel worse. So the more I did, actually, the worse it got, because I had to start being out of denial and I wasn't there yet. So it just got worse and worse, and then my behaviors got worse. And I just kept feeling bad. And then feeding off of his emotions was really, really what got me. I guess listening to him. I remember one time having plans with some friends and him literally crying to me. I can't believe you're leaving me when I'm like this. I'm all alone and you're going out. Why would you leave your son like this? Like, so manipulative. If you hear things like that and they put it back on you and make you feel guilty, wow, I've been there. I listened to it a lot. I actually once changed my plans because I felt so bad. And I just didn't know what to do anymore. I mean, he just bulldozed right over me, over again, over and over and over again. You could listen to these things all the time, but it doesn't mean you're going to change your behaviors until you're ready to change your behavior. The guilt is what really, as a parent, it gets to us because we put it on ourselves. We make ourselves feel like, wow, we must have done something wrong. My neighbor's kid doesn't act like this. My good friend's kid doesn't act like this. Why is my kid acting like this? What did I do differently? You didn't do anything differently. Personalities are personalities. I caught myself the other day saying, wow, they must have been really good parents. Look at the way their kids act. So respectful of their parents, their family unit. How do you get your family to that? I don't even know. I see that and I'm just so, wow. The respect that some kids have for their parents, what is it? How do they grow to that? How do you form that? Well, for one thing, you take the guilt out. And you become the kind of parent that they don't necessarily always want. You're not their best friend. You don't have to be good friends with all their friends and their friends, kids' friends. You just have to be a parent to your kids. Make sure to point out when they don't do something right. I remember getting a call from a friend whose son was at a party with my son, and she kept calling me and saying, look, we're friends, but this is starting to really bother me and I have to speak out. Your son is bullying my kid. Oh my God, I remember that as if it was yesterday. So, oh my God, here I am feeling guilty. Wow, guilty? My son's misbehaving already to other kids like this? No, that's unacceptable. So I smashed that and that never did happen again. But that doesn't make me feel good because where was I all the time? I saw his behaviors. I let it go. He was not going to act like that again, but he did. He's not going to act the way he acts to me to other people, is he? He's just doing that because he knows he could, crap on me. You often hear, oh, they're going to crap on the ones they love. Really? And then at the end of the day, what happens? You don't feel loved anyway. You feel crapped on. You feel mistreated, abused. And that's not a good feeling either. So actually, letting the guilt guide us is horrible for our self-esteems. And the only way to get out of that is to really, really analyze and focus on not the guilt, but, maybe on what they're doing and their patterns over the guilt that we have of the way we were as parents and maybe we've done something wrong. Well, now I'm up to number 4. The 4th mistake was made. Not setting or enforcing my boundaries. Oh yeah, I hadn't had boundaries. I had some. Do your homework, come home after school activities, not going out late at night. But I didn't form boundaries the way I should have. Now, when I saw him in after school sports activities, the wonderful thing about that is it takes up time. They don't have as much time to themselves. So they're busy in social settings, which is great for kids. So they don't feel excluded. They feel like a part of something when they're on a team. And it keeps them out of trouble. The problem is when they lapse, they don't do it anymore. They don't want to, they don't have the desire anymore. So they don't have that in their life to one thing to focus on. And I think that's a huge mistake. And that's something that parents should not even accept. That boundary is there. You are joining something. You are going to be a part of something, some kind of organization, something that takes up your time, something that you're passionate about. And if it's not sports, it doesn't have to be sports. It could be art. It could be programs specifically focused on IT training or AI, whatever it is. There's so much out there. And back then, I guess, working so hard, I didn't think it was as big a deal. But wow, it was a big deal. And I saw a big difference. And I saw it with other people and that I've spoken with, parents that have disclosed to me that they too saw that in their kids, the withdrawal from them even knowing what they liked anymore. Even though they were great at a lot of things naturally. Like mine was, oh my God, he'd hit a golf ball. You'd think he had all these trainings and private lessons. I couldn't afford lessons, so he did it on his own. He taught himself the guitar. He taught himself how to play piano. He wrote. He's very bright and very capable. And most are. You just have to put your mind to it. They put their mind to drugs and other things to distract them from things that were really bothering them, that they just kept pushing further and further down that they didn't want to deal with. That could be a lot of things. Therapists often say, and people that I've spoken to, things have come out tremendously. All kinds of abuses, and their own personal self-esteems, how they see themselves, being confused about who they are, what they are. They're not comfortable with any of their behaviors, or so they mask everything about themselves. So then they start feeling like they're not themselves. They're pretending to be somebody else. And that's how they're living their life, like a lie. They often need to escape, push everybody away because they're miserable about their life. They feel like they're angry because no one can help them, but they don't know how to reach out and get help. Even though you've probably taken them to rehab numerous times and they didn't stay there, or they did, and then they came out, and it happened over again and over again and over again. And the boundaries of what your expectations are of them in the house, their behaviors, what you'll accept and what you won't accept, I believe that's huge. I let it go. I did. I loved him so much, and I saw there was anger there, and I didn't look at it like it was directed to me. I tried to get him help, and boundaries are good. Going to a therapist, which is what I did, and when I needed to kick him out, that's how I got him out of the house, because this therapist told me exactly what to do, which I will share with you. And I should have done it sooner, but mistake number 4, that was it. I couldn't do it. And basically, the therapist said, okay, now you need to write down the rules in the house. What are you going to accept and what you won't accept? And you need to write those down. And when you're speaking to your son, you need to have them in your hand, because when you get nervous, you'll forget something. You have to be prepared to follow through on this. Otherwise, don't say it. So they were very big into saying to me, okay, write it down, follow through. And this is how you're going to follow through. Anything you write on the paper, you're going to have to stand by. And when you're ready to give the ultimatum, you either follow these rules on this sheet of paper, which I'm going to hand to you, or you're going to have to leave. You need to be prepared for them to go. Not only did I give the ultimatum, but I allowed him to still make decisions as to when he's going to leave. And then he decided to go live with his father. That nearly killed me. And of course he did. I've seen people's kids go live with friends' kids, and the kid tells their parents, "Oh, you have no idea. My parents are nuts. They mistreat me. They're horrible to me. They beat me. All these things. They'll make up lies, and just to get what they need: a roof over their head, someone to love them, someone to feel like believe in them, believe what they're saying, and that's really a very scary moment, because when they're desperate, when your kid is desperate for anybody to listen, that's a time when they'll say the most horrible things about you, and it's not pleasant. And I think that's one of the most hurtful things to me, for sure. And as hurtful as it was, which is, here I am tearing over it because it's like, wow, as if it happened just yesterday. It really was what's the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, like, that was it. That was that moment when he hit below the belt and was so cruel, with such lies, to the person that loved him and loves him so much and would do anything for him. That was the moment when I was able to take my life back. It's sad that you have to get to that moment. I don't know. Maybe everybody doesn't. I needed to. And that was years later, after dealing with all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 situations. Those mistakes that I made, those were years of mistakes. That wasn't just yesterday. So you're sitting here listening here, and it's 14 years later for you, or 10, or 2, or maybe it's a minute, and you just don't know what kid's happening with your kid, and you just don't know where to turn. Bottom line is that we love our kids. So of course, we're going to make these mistakes. And these cycles are going to go on, and these boundaries. No, you can't use the car. You're going to go to school. I'm going to drop you off, and then I'm going to pick you up. Oh, but what do you mean? How am I going to work? How am I going to meet friends? How am I going to go do things and take care of things I need to? No problem. I'll drop you off. Those are the things you're going to have to do, because giving them a car and giving that flexibility, I did it. I leased cars. He made a lot of excuses why the tires are broken, why everything was always broken. Everything always needed to be repaired. Careless about everything. But I kept doing it. And I kept allowing him to have the car. One time, I didn't give him the car. He decided to ride a bicycle when it was raining. Sure enough, his shoulder popped out of his shoulder popped out. It was horrible. He popped it back in. He had a tolerance for pain like, wow. I don't know. Very big tolerance. I don't know if it was the drugs he was on, but when he did finally get shoulder surgery, he really was incredible with the pain. But, he didn't take care of it. He didn't do what he needed to do for it. So years later, I know for a fact that he probably needs to have surgery again. Not that he has taken care of that, but I believe that he definitely has had problems since then. So boundaries is a big one. It's number 4. I don't even know if these mistakes, you can really rank them, because these are mistakes that are just so prevalent, so out there, so what us as parents do, that maybe you won't. Maybe you can catch yourself now. If it's early enough, and you're just starting this journey, maybe you don't have to go on this journey. Maybe you could resolve some of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and go through these mistakes that I've made. Parents that have struggled for years with their kid that's an addict have made. And maybe you'll do better. Maybe this will change for you. And all I could say is also, before I go on to number 5, is I remember one of the biggest things when my son was younger was I always felt guilty thinking that I wanted him to be something that he didn't want. So all I did was push him for him to be what I wanted him to be, what I wanted him to do. And that wasn't cool. If he doesn't want to be a doctor, he doesn't want to be a lawyer, he doesn't want to go to college, that's fine. He doesn't have to live out my dream. He has to live out his dream. And his dream can't be a disappointment to us. And I actually even said that to him and opened up to him about that. Like I've heard stories and been around people. Their kids were seniors in, seniors in college, and they can't graduate. They drop out. The parents are ready to. They don't know what to do. They're beside themselves, and they don't know what's going to happen with their kid. What the kid's going to do, want to be with and do with their life. And they're focused on that rather than focus on the illness. What got that person to that place? A lot of times it's like a delayed reaction. I have a friend's kid who went to an Ivy League school, and he claimed after the fact that he never wanted to go there. He did it because his parents wanted him to be there. It wasn't his choice. He always felt like he had to do for everybody else. He didn't make those choices at what he wants to do with his life. And yeah, he's super smart, but that doesn't mean anything. Then I met these parents. The kid was a senior in high school. They only wanted him to go to Northeastern, Northwestern, great schools. And the kid was not going to have it. He wasn't doing it. Finally, they pushed him. They gave him ultimatums. Oh, if you don't do this, you got to go to college. You got to finish college. Sure enough, the kid started 2 months in, got kicked out, got expelled, and go on with the stories of their journey. And they realized that they put the effort into something that he wasn't capable of doing. And it doesn't matter how smart you are, doesn't mean that you're not capable of being something that your parents want you to be, which shouldn't be. And that was definitely something on my list. And I think it's because I worked so hard. I felt like I worked so hard, but I was working so hard because I was working for him as well as myself. And that is why I was working so hard. And then mistake number 5. I forgot all about me. I meant nothing. I mean, I literally said I would put myself in front of a bus for my 2 kids. There definitely has to come a time when you say, no, I'm not putting myself in front of a bus for my 2 kids. I'm going to move away, right? Because at the end of the day, who's going to look after you if it's not you? It doesn't matter how close you are to your kids. You still got to take responsibility for your life. You can't depend on them to entertain you. They get married. They have extended families. They have to split their time in between all these people in their lives. And you got to have your own life and be your own self. That's why so many couples have to reinvent themselves when their kids leave, because all this time it's been about their kids, right? And what makes them happy and what they want to do and where they want to go on vacation and, what they want for lunch and what they want for dinner and where we're going to go for here and where we're going to go Sunday and, whose family are we going to be with? I mean, it's always, we don't realize how wrapped up we get. And then all of a sudden, we don't hear anything in the house. It's so quiet, right? And then we're like, ooh. Oh my God, I don't even know what I'm about anymore. I don't even know who I am. I've completely lost myself. And basically what happens is when it comes to dealing with an addict, you just start drowning. You really drown. I always said I had these weights on my shoulder, and I didn't know how to get them off. Life was so heavy. It was just so heavy that I could barely get out of bed. I had to go on depression meds. I mean, I couldn't, I remember as if it was yesterday, couldn't get out of bed. Everything in life felt really hard. Everything I did felt like it just would take too much effort, and I just didn't have the effort for it. I didn't have the energy. And that is how I lived for a long time. I put a happy face on. I'm an optimistic person. I am. And I'm personable and I'm outgoing. And I wake up every day and say, today's going to be the best day ever. And I look at my sign that I have in the kitchen. And, but the end of the day is it's not the best day ever. Your family's not complete. It can't be the best day ever. You just make it as good as you can. And when you look at it that way, then at least you have a shot of having a good day. And those are basically the 5 mistakes. And listen, if you've made these mistakes, welcome to the club. We all have. We're human. We're moms. We're family members. We love fearlessly. But if you're ready to stop surviving and start healing, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to get support because that's the only way you can do it. It's not going to happen because you cannot do this yourself at this point. I really hope this episode helps you. Listen to it over and over again. Every time you seem to need it or get wrapped up in one of these 5 mistakes. And maybe it will get you going to get the proper help or taking the proper steps that will get you out of those mistakes that we constantly make over and over and over again. Have a great day and thanks for listening.
Thanks for tuning in. I trust this episode brought you insight and strength, offering valuable coping strategies. Stay connected with weekly content, plus follow if you enjoyed, and be sure to journal for your own self-care.